We have a couple of areas of interest that we're looking at, but they're not threatening, at least for right now. Let's have a look at each one of those individually. One of them is right here in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, and the other one's out there over Africa. Let's look at number one.
Okay.
Doesn't look like much, on this. We've got this area encircled right here. It's a little disturbance there, but notice that there are not a lot of thunderstorms in the middle of that circle.
Yeah, and that's the question for you. You look at this and explain why it's circled around essentially what is nothing. It looks like all the storms are to the north.
Yeah, it looks like we circled the wrong thing.
Right. Well, what's the deal with that?
Well, we didn't, because there's actually a pretty well-defined circulation in there. It just so happens that it's so unorganized that the thunderstorms are kind of on the edge. Those are those bright colors. Those are the tall thunderstorms. And that's a sign that it's not well put together. And because of that, the Hurricane Center only gives it a 20% shot of developing into a named storm or depression within 5 days.
Within 5 days?
Within 5 days.
So that's not a real good chance.
No, it's not a real good chance. It is heading in that direction. And just for reference here, there are the Lesser Antilles there. It's about 1,000 miles to the east of them. So let's keep an eye on them, because here they are right in here, and 1,000 miles to the east. There's where the circulation is, as we mentioned. Not a lot of storms with it. But, there's some gusty winds and some thunderstorms that could be coming into the islands in a few days. So just keep an eye on that for interest out that way, and just in case something unexpectedly happens.
We have another spot we're looking at too, right?
We do. Number two, actually, you know what? Before we get there, here's just a steering graphic.
Because there could be thunderstorms. And just a heads up for the Windward and Leeward Islands here.
Don't take your eye off the ball. The weather models that we look at for strength forecasts suggest that it's going to stay weak. So the intensification into anything major is unlikely.
If conditions change, that forecast could change.
That's right.
Okay, so keep an eye on that. All right.
Okay, now let's go farther to the east, across farther on the other side of the ocean.
It's coming off of Africa now.
It's a long way out there. See those bright colors, though? And you can sort of see a little twirl maybe in those clouds. This one's put together a little bit better. It's got I think, a more healthy circulation associated with that. And because of that, look at these odds now.
Okay.
50% of developing into a named storm or depression in the next 5 days. That's up from, it was 30% this morning, 40 this afternoon. So we're kind of ramping up on this one.
Trending that way.
Trending upward on this one. So let's track it and show you where it's going.
It's still ways out there.
All the way across the ocean.
Okay.
Long way, thousands of miles away from the United States. Let's track this guy using one of our models, which sort of shows you this blue and green and yellow. That's kind of measure of spin with this guy. So let's move it forward in time as we head to Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So you can sense that by Monday, it's still way out in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. But you know what? There's a sort of a tendency for it to take a little bit of a right turn on its last legs here. So I'm thinking that if this thing does develop, it will probably move out over the open ocean. That's just a kind of a consensus that's growing in the models.
So there's a good chance there could be a named storm by the end of this holiday weekend, but chances are it's not going to affect land.
Chances are
at
that's the case.
At this point, though, it's still way early in the ballgame,
It's
right?
early in the ballgame, but we're starting to see signs that maybe this one won't make it across the Atlantic.
Okay.